What's up, Playboys? It's the CMB Sports Show, week 2 of Gambling Corner, trying to get y'all prepared for another weekend of some football. I am your host, Braylon Brakefield. Along with me, my co-host and good friend, Cole Lepschitz. Cole, how's the weather up there?
Yeah, man, we got some pretty good gusts over here. We got Hurricane Ian coming up through here. I think his name's actually Ian, but I's don't make the E sound where I'm from. But yeah, so we got some pretty good wind gusts. Got a lot of rain coming this way, but hey, we're gonna hunker down and we'll be fine.
Yeah, just hold the fort down. That I's widening.
That's what it's all about.
I think it's about to be like 500 miles wide. It'll just take off half the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna just clothesline. I mean, it's playing Red Rover with us right now.
We can start on something different too. Last night, Tua getting concussed 4 days after being concussed again, or being concussed the first time. I can't believe that it's been this long to where the NFL's been on like the hot seat for, concussions and stuff like this, and they just continue to put their foot in their mouth to where, like, even if I don't know exactly what the concussion protocol is, but he gets slammed to the ground Sunday, he gets to return to the game because he passed his concussion protocol when obviously something was off. He shouldn't have been re-entered the game. Like, his body wasn't working like normal. And then last night gets slammed. Basically, the same thing happens. It's not a dirty hit or anything. He just gets taken down pretty hard. Head hits the ground pretty hard. And that's one of the scariest sights I've seen. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody's fingers do that, where he said it's like instinct for your body to like try to defend itself. He was like covering his head and his fingers were crossing each other. It was scary.
I mean, I'll be honest, as like a big Tua fan, I mean, just in general, I mean, I like him as a dude and a football player. Like, I mean, it had me like emotional. Like, I didn't know how to feel. And I'm kind of mad at Amazon too for just like showing it over and over and zooming in. I really didn't like that. I mean, it kind of just disrespected him and his family. I mean, and us as fans, like, we don't need to see that, more than anything that happened live. That's not, that's where I really didn't like that. But yeah, for him to really, I want to like play kind of devil's advocate, but I just can't. Like, I want to defend the NFL, but I can't. I mean, there's no reason he should have really been out there, 4 days later. I mean, maybe if it was a normal, 7 days, 6 days, 7 days, and then Sunday to Sunday, he goes through some more evaluation, yeah, okay. Like they had it. But I mean, it's just really playing with his life in ways that, I mean, it shouldn't be. That's not how it should be for players.
Yeah, your brain is more than just football. Like, that's something. You get a serious brain injury, you could be done for life.
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
Sounds like some good news coming from the hospital. Like, he's handling it pretty well, but still it's a pretty bad situation. So, guess continued prayers for Tua, and hopefully he gets back to normal. Hopefully they don't run him out there Sunday. If they do,
yeah, no kidding.
That could be a serious lawsuit right there.
No kidding. I might sue him just because.
For having to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible.
But we have 5 top 25 versus top 25 games this Saturday. We'll start with your Alabama Crimson Tide going to Sam Walton Stadium there in Arkansas. The number 2 Alabama versus the number 20 Arkansas. Alabama's favored by 17, and the over-under is 61. I'll let you start. What's your take on this game?
First impressions, 17's too many for Alabama on the road. I don't know. I'm not really sure what Vegas is seeing. I could see like last year's team with a consistent deep threat going up against a bad secondary. But one thing that I think people are kind of overlooking is Arkansas leads the nation in sacks. and they have a historically bad secondary right now, but they also lead the nation in sacks. So I'm not really sure where that comes in. That has to be some kind of anomaly, but Alabama's O-line has a lot of questions. We saw in the Texas game, Jahmyr Gibbs failed at pass pro multiple times in that game, where Bryce Young is just getting pummeled. And if those are things that your running backs have to block at this level, and like you go and you see dudes like Najee, and you see some of these guys like TJ Yeldon had a career in the NFL. I mean, not because he was a great runner, but like he was just good fundamentally. And you see a lot of these dudes, like that's just been a thing. Like wide receivers and running backs block at Alabama, and I haven't really seen a lot of that this year. Also from the receivers. That's why the screen game looks kind of stupid, even though like the tails kind of tell you we should be able to be good, but we just haven't blocked on the outside either. So something to look for when you're watching the game. I mean, Arkansas is good. I mean, they're going to be physical. They're going to punch you in the mouth. They're going to let you make mistakes. But if Alabama can get connected, kind of penetrate them, for 20 yard passes and such, 20 yards plus, hitting those downfield range passes, I think they'll be fine. But I still think, even if Alabama plays great, I think 17 is too much on the road. I mean, we struggled last year on the road. Our last good road game was we beat Mississippi State by like 40. But other than that, we beat Auburn by 2, Florida by 2, lost to A&M, and
Texas this year.
Yeah, well, Texas this year. So another fun fact. Bryce is only 5 for 15 on throws, 20 plus yards this year. So something to look out for. I mean, we're just not really clicking yet, I would say, but this would be a good time to prove that we are.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, especially a lot of people have been sleeping on how good Arkansas's front is and how good they are at getting to the quarterback. And I feel like this is how Alabama always starts. Like I even talked about how bad their offensive line was last year up until the Iron Bowl. And then
terrible.
Nick Saban just tweaked some things after that game, and then your offensive line looked great in the playoffs. But
yep,
17's too much. I think it just comes with the, if you're going to bet Alabama, you're going to pay a premium because they're definitely the most public team in the country right now. It's like when you bet the Yankees, you're paying a premium. When you bet the Cowboys, the line is never as good as what it should be, just because of how public they are. So you get, this line probably should be closer to like 10, which is what I think I would have put it at.
Too.
The over-under is 61. So I think a lot of people are thinking about last year's where they had, it was basically a shootout. I think y'all won by like 6 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it ended at 6.
But it was like 42-36 or whatever it was. Like pretty high scoring game.
Defenses did not show up.
I don't see that happening this year. I think, like you said, your offensive line has struggled. Their defensive line's very good. And I don't know if you have the weapons that you had last year to really take the top off. And they don't have the weapons to do the same to you. And they are, I think Will Anderson has a good game tomorrow. I think their defense line has a good game. And 61 is just too much. So I'm probably going to end up taking Arkansas plus 17 and under 61.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And I think this is going to be one of those games, 2:30 game, kind of prime time on Saturdays. I just think that it's going to be one of those where either team really isn't going to want to make that big mistake early. So, if you're into like betting first half kind of stuff, I think this is going to be one of those games where both teams kind of fill each other out, maybe a couple more punts, first half. I don't think anybody really comes out offensively and punches anybody in the face. It's going to be more of a defensive struggle or a defensive, kind of strength, especially in the first half until they make those adjustments. So yeah, I like the under a lot there because 61 just feels like a lot. And I mean, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be packed. It's gonna be crazy. I think their stadium holds 90, 100,000 people. it's pretty big, just like anywhere else in the SEC. So should be a good one. I'm pretty nervous about it. I just want us to have a good showing because, like I've said a bunch of times, we're in the gauntlet. So, no injuries, nothing crazy. Just get out with a win, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, I don't see you having any chance of losing this game, but I could see you winning by 7 or 10. Like, that's more realistic to me. The second game, another SEC game, number 7 Kentucky going to number 14 Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 6.5, and the over/under is 54.5. Now, we kind of talked about this a little before we started recording, but anytime if you're a casual bettor, you see number 7 Kentucky is getting 6.5 points, that's where your bet goes. And that's why a majority of the bets are on Kentucky, but the line was still going up. I think it's came back down now, but there was like 80 at one point. There was like 85% of the bets were on Kentucky, and the line was
moving the opposite way.
Right, so that tells you Vegas knows they have you hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah,
the play is obviously Ole Miss,
and it's crazy too because I really don't know what Ole Miss brings to the table here. Like I don't know. Like I kind of like dug in and kind of looked, and Ole Miss just really hasn't performed extremely well like all year. I mean, they've just been kind of okay. And I think it's more of like, can Kentucky stay on the same level that they have been? I think that's the big question mark because they already have a big road win. What makes more sense? Like, Ole Miss beating them by a touchdown or Kentucky getting 2 huge road wins in a year. I think Ole Miss winning by a touchdown makes more sense in my head. And I feel like this is one of those, it's kind of like the NFL. Like you have to just think about it. You have to take a step back and look at the big picture and not just this game and really the matchup at hand. I think it's more of like a big picture kind of game. And it's at 12 o'clock, which is like that super weird time, or the 11 o'clock Central. So anything can happen in that time slot.
Yeah. So I would lean Ole Miss. I probably won't touch the total. Another one.
Same.
I don't really know a ton about this game. Oklahoma State at Baylor. Baylor's favored by 2.5, which is probably just because they're at home, if I had to guess.
Yep.
Over-under is 55.5. So I think if I was going to take anything, I think I would take Oklahoma State. But I really haven't watched a ton of either one of these teams.
I haven't either. I did like a little write-up on each game, and on this one, I literally just wrote, I have no clue. I have no clue. The Big 12 is absolutely wide open, and there's no telling what's going to happen with really any game because we saw Oklahoma go down last week, and
Texas got beat.
Texas got beat, and so it's open to anybody. And this is a good chance for Baylor to kind of regain what they had last year, but. Are they going to take it? That's the question. They have it at home. They have almost a gift here, but I just don't know, if they have what it takes. And Oklahoma State's not the same team as they were last year. So this, I really think this is like a perfect even matchup, and Baylor gets the home field advantage. But personally, I'm staying away from this game entirely. I think 56 sounds kind of suspicious, or 55. I would maybe take over 55 if you just have to. But personally, like I said, I have no clue on which way to pick here.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I won't touch this one. The fourth game, Wake Forest at Florida State. Florida State is favored by 6.5. Over-under is 66.
This one's tough too. Wake Forest coming off a kind of a great performance, really, against Clemson, but they ultimately got the L. I think that if Wake Forest would have won last week, this would be a guaranteed. I'm taking Florida State, but with them losing, I really like them to come back and kind of with that same energy, and just coming in and just kind of laying it to them. That -7 is weird. again. It's like that weird spot. I feel like it's just a little bit different here. Because I'm not a buyer on Florida State yet. I don't know. They played LSU tough in the first game and probably should have lost, but they got the win. So I'm just not a full on buyer for Florida State yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like watch the team week one and then just kind of like Florida State's one of those teams. Everybody watched them week one. They kind of won in a very sloppy game, and then you just kind of write them off. Like same thing has happened to LSU. And I think LSU and Florida State are both a lot better than what they were week one and a lot better than what people think. And Wake Forest, to me, I know you said they lost and you would feel better about this if they won. But to me, I feel like that was the dagger to Wake Forest, was having Clemson right there on the ropes, and then you lose in just heartbreaking fashion in overtime. And then now you have to go to Florida State, is the Hurricanes still going to be there? Or it'll be right after the Hurricanes come through?
Yeah. Well, the Hurricane kind of missed Tallahassee, but, they're still going to have wins and stuff that come with that.
So I'm going to lean Florida State pretty heavy here. I think they're a lot better than what people think. Plus, like I said, I think this is a letdown spot for Wake Forest.
Yeah. Talking about, like LSU and Florida State, that's very true, though. Watching them week one, they both look pretty bad. And, I was thinking about this earlier. Like LSU is a field goal away from being like a top 15 team. Honestly, an undefeated LSU team, you're going to keep them out of the top 25. Like, get out of here. But, everybody watched them that first week, and, they've done nothing but handle their competition since then. And now they're just, nowhere to be found in the rankings. But, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. I still think that Wake Forest could probably cover that touchdown. That's 7. I still think they're a good team, but you make a good point with the heartbreak. I don't know. I think at some point, that the competitor has to come out, and I know their quarterback is kind of an NFL hopeful. So, you just never know.
Yeah. Their quarterback is good enough to where if they went out, he could put himself like in the Heisman spot. Like he played great against Clemson last week. Speaking of Clemson, that's the last matchup we have. Number 10, NC State at Clemson, who's ranked 5th. Clemson's favored by a touchdown. Over-under is 45, which I think that's very low because of the storms. The storm will be there, so they're expecting that number to be lower. This is where game day is, I think.
Yeah, and I think the I or the previous I, because it kind of the Iron reformed into a hurricane when it got over the Atlantic, and then is going to hit. It's making landfall kind of as we speak, I guess. But that where it's kind of breaking up, the I is going right over South Carolina, North Carolina. So that's why the over under is so low. It's hard, like I said a couple weeks back, it's hard to take like these weather-induced over-unders just because technology and techniques are so advanced now. But I was lucky enough to catch it when it was at like 45 before it fell. And so I took the under 45. But at 40, it's tough because, they could, very possibly run all over each other. But, I don't think that's the case. But this is a tough game to look at too, because NC State is that team that is another one where you watch them week one, they struggle, they barely win, and people kind of forget about them. And they're undefeated. But I just think that Clemson at home at night is just tough. That's probably one of the toughest places to play just in the country. So I think Clemson here covers that touchdown, but I would not be surprised if NC State even pulls somewhat of a late game kind of heroics and covers.
Yeah, I think NC State is very good. I think Clemson is very good. I think the only difference separating them is that Clemson's been here before and NC State hasn't. To where basically whoever wins this is the front runner for the ACC. You win the ACC, you've got a good chance of making the playoffs. And this is NC State's first time being on this in the spotlight there when Clemson's been there for the last 8 years or so.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to lean Clemson. I'll ride that wagon again, Clemson -7, even though they bit me in the butt last week. But also, you have the lines pulled up.
Yes.
Okay, so if I say any of these lines wrong, just correct me because I wrote these down from ESPN, and they're probably not all right.
Yeah, I got these. I got all mine from Action, so it's live.
Well, now that's all of the big games. You want to run through what else you're taking or what else you're looking at?
Yeah, just some other stuff I'm looking at. Just for tonight, if you're able to listen to this before this game starts, or check us on our facts before you want to trust us with your picks tomorrow. Washington at UCLA tonight. This is like your classic Pac-12 at night game. I mean, I think it's just going to be like fireworks. Chip Kelly is still at UCLA. They're undefeated. They haven't really been tested, but they could put up points. I think they just have a really good offense. It's going to be a dead stadium. There's only going to be about 800 people there. There's going to be more people at the corner game tonight. But, I think that makes for good offense better than defense. You have good communication and things like that. So, let's see. This game is at...
Which that's another letdown spot like we talked about. Like I think Washington State, that was their game of the year last year with Oregon on the ropes, and then they blow it, within the last minute and a half, and it's tough to come back from stuff like that.
Yeah, Washington's at -3 against UCLA, and the over-under is at 65.
Washington or Washington State?
Yeah,
it's Washington.
Washington.
Okay, so my bad. So throw all that out the window. What I just said.
You get no, but they had a big win last week, so it could be a good letdown spot on a short week. But I still think that it's just going to be more of just all offense. So 64 seems high, but I think I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the over because this could just very well be like something crazy. It's just Pac-12 at night, dead stadium. They're going to bring the energy. So,
which they're
my play there is the over.
And I like that too because, like you talked about, Arkansas sneakily leading the league in sacks. Washington's quarterback is sneakily airing it out. Like I think he leads in yards and touchdowns.
Right.
I think he transferred from Indiana or something last year and wasn't very good there, and now he's just clicking at Washington.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all it takes. And Chip Kelly and them they're gonna be able to put up points. He's an offensive mind. He's kind of ever since he went to the NFL, he's kind of went under the radar, but he's still an offensive guru, and they're gonna be able to put up points on anybody. So definitely look out for that one. Tonight that'll be a good one to watch. That's at 9:30 Central. So on ESPN. It'll be a good one to check out. Get your coffee. Next one, complete opposite of a game here. It's going to be at 12 o'clock. Michigan and Iowa. It's the first test for Michigan. It's at Iowa. I think this is just going to be a terrible game. I think Iowa's going to try to sloppy it up any way they can in Iowa fashion. I think Michigan has the dudes to score on Iowa, but does Michigan have the D? Like, do they even have a defense? That's my question. It's not really going to be a good test for their defense because Iowa's offense is terrible. But I think if Iowa can slow the game down and run it at their pace, I think that it's going to be a tough one for them. It's right now at let's see. Right now it is Michigan -10.5, and the over/under is 42. I've seen a lot of people on the over for some reason, but I definitely like Iowa here +10.5. I just think they dirty it up. They're going to be able to put something on the board of some kind. So one to watch out for. Let's see. Next game. Oklahoma at TCU. This is a tough spot for Oklahoma. Coming off a loss of last week, really struggled. I believe Oklahoma is -6 right now with the over-under of 68.5. I just think it's a bad spot for Oklahoma. I mean, they're going at TCU, which can get pretty rowdy. But I think that I don't believe they dropped 2 in a row here. I think Oklahoma's got enough talent around to pull out the win. I'm not sure if they cover that. -6 is kind of weird. But I think they do. I really, it's a tough spot. So I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma doesn't cover here. But I mean, I think they definitely get the win. But probably want to stay away from. I'd probably take Oklahoma with that -6. They might score late and get the cover there, but get the back door. So definitely something to watch out for. So another one that I'm looking at is Texas Tech and Kansas State. It's a 12 o'clock kick. Kansas State is -7.5. I think this is a really good letdown spot for Texas Tech. Kansas State sitting there licking their chops. I think Kansas State's a legit team. I think they're really good. They have Martinez that transferred from Nebraska. I feel like he's been playing forever. I mean, they have a lot of experience. They take it 2 teams, and I just really think this is a good spot to catch Texas Tech kind of coming in, for their world tour now. I mean, they're probably running in with their chin high, and I think Kansas State's just going to hit them with the right hook. I mean, from the jump. So, yeah, I like the -7.5 there.
Yeah, it's a different Martinez that you're remembering from Nebraska. There, they went back-to-back Martinez as a starting quarterback.
Two different guys, which it even tripped me up at when he was at Nebraska. I'm like, this guy's playing forever.
He's been there for 10 years.
Yeah, different guy, but still hilarious.
And he is good. I think their team is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. There's one more that I wanted to talk about, I think. Yes, Utah, Oregon State. This is where I think that heartbreak factor kind of comes in. Oregon State dropped one to Washington last week at home, and now they got to go to Utah, who we know is a very good team. They're very old. They're very experienced. It's Utah -10.5. I like this just straight up because I think Utah's they're out to prove a point. I mean, they're not a team that's going to give up. They know that the Pac-12 is still open, even though they dropped one early. So I think this is going to be kind of a statement game for Utah. And I think that one's probably going to be a good one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so I'll touch back in on the Michigan at Iowa. I think I'm going to take Michigan, and really my only reasoning for that is the line is set at 42, and it's Michigan by 11, basically. So how do I trust Iowa to score twice? I don't think I do.
See, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it's just weird because Michigan's defense isn't good, but is Iowa even going to score?
Right. I don't think they will.
I hate it because I want Michigan to lose so bad because I think that they have the cupcakeiest schedule of all time. But I mean, there's really nobody to get them until they play Ohio State or Penn State, maybe. But I just want them to drop this one so bad. So I want to will Iowa to win, to score 3 tutties here. But I just don't know if they can.
I don't think they can. The line's lined up for it to be, 26-16? I don't think Iowa can score 2 touchdowns. I just think their offense is seriously that bad. I
still feel like they could cover 10.5. Maybe they just muddy the game up, but who knows, man? Big Ten, the Big Ten's a mess.
Iowa, so you never know. But I do like Michigan there. Texas A&M, number 17, Texas A&M going to Mississippi State, where Mississippi State is favored by 4. Mississippi State unranked, but I think Mississippi State is 3-1 against A&M in the last 4 years. Like this
You'd
is
be correct.
Their kryptonite. These are two teams. They dress exactly alike. The only
Yep.
difference between A&M and Mississippi State is probably like $100 billion. If Mississippi State had $100 billion more, they would basically be Texas A&M.
Well, I think that they're, Mike Leach is probably 100 times cooler too. If there's somebody I'd sit, or if you ask me, like, our producer comes in and says, hey, we can have Mike Leach or Jimbo Fisher. I'm picking Mike Leach every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Okay, how about this one?
So
Mike Leach or Lane Kiffin?
Mike Leach.
Really?
Yep.
I think I might go Mike Leach too. I do think it's like 51-49.
But I think so. With Lane Kiffin, you get, kind of like that Hollywood superstar appeal. So you might get more people to come watch, but the better quality conversation is going to be with Mike Leach.
Mike Leach, he's a dude's dude.
And I'm not here for the viewership. I want, good quality fandom. You know what I mean? And I want to have good content for those fans. So, Lane Kiffin might be cool, but Mike Leach would sit here and we could talk about, what kind of powers a Sun Devil has. You know what I mean? Like what is a Stanford Cardinal going to do in a fight? Like that's one of my all-time best press conferences behind Allen Iverson's, practice. So, I just think he's a cool guy. And, the only thing that gives me worries here is like how much has Max Johnson figured it out at Texas A&M? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I mean, at home, Mississippi State with the Cowbells, my heart leans Mississippi State here, especially -4. I mean, it's like Vegas is like yelling at me.
Yeah, like take it. Mississippi, it's hard to win on the road in the SEC. Like I know
100%.
Majority of our fans are probably, local and possibly Alabama fans. And you kind of been spoiled to this to where you don't really have to worry about that. But every other team in the SEC struggles to win on the road. Like it's just tough. Home field advantage is so important. Mississippi State, that like you said, the Cowbells, it's one of the smaller stadiums in the SEC, but they're right on top of you. The Cowbells are loud and they don't care about the rules that they've made. They're going to ring the Cowbells the entire game.
Yep.
Go ahead. Anything else on that one?
No, that's it.
A game tonight that I like is UTSA at Middle Tennessee State. A letdown spot, Middle Tennessee State. UTSA is favored by 4.5. We've talked about it before. UTSA is a good program.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a quality program. They were undefeated last year. It's hard. Middle Tennessee really looked good against Miami. Like it didn't look like some kind of fluke performance. But that being said, it's going to be hard to come back and do it again against probably an equal opponent to Miami. I don't think very much of Miami after watching them in a couple games. I think they have a lot to figure out. And I think UTSA is like a really good program. I think they're a really solid football team. So to do it again against probably the same kind of football team, I just don't see it.
I'm not going to bet on this game, but I wrote down LSU at Auburn. Auburn's in trouble right now. And like I said, LSU I think they're better than what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
It's LSU -7.5. If I would never bet against Auburn, I would never bet against any of my teams. But if you're not an Auburn fan, I would at least look at that. I know Jordan Hare's tough to play in, which is a big factor, but LSU is I think they're a lot better than Auburn right now.
So what I have written down here, and I kind of said it earlier, LSU is a field goal away from being a top 15 team, if not a top 10 team. They only lost by 1 to Florida State early in the year. They really haven't played anybody since they shut out New Mexico State last week. They beat them 39-0. That being said, Auburn's defense is still pretty solid. I think, they only gave up, 14 in regulation. I think, or did they only give up 14 against Missouri? I can't remember if they scored in overtime or not. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Like Auburn's defense is still good. So I think that they can give LSU some issues. It's probably going to be a sellout. I would hope so anyways. I think y'all are striping them out this week. Or is that next week?
Oh, I have no idea.
I saw something about a stripe out. I don't know. I know you guys just love that. Love the stripes.
Every team does. Tennessee is going checkered fans back-to-back weeks.
I have something to say about that after this, but it's weird. It's just a weird place to play at nighttime. I think Robbie Ashford, like the ghost of Nick Marshall and Jason Campbell, are going to be there with Robbie Ashford pregame, kind of hyping him up. And they're going to say, like, man, you got this. Like, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And, I hope, like, I hate it for Brian Harsin too, because he's just like, he's in like he's in between a rock and a hard place. There's really no good he can do. But, if anything, I hope he can coach for like another job. You know what I mean? Like, just not give up just for you guys. And I just, it's so hard to take LSU minus that 7.5 here. There's just no way you can do that with confidence.
Another one I have is Illinois at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's favored by 6.5. To me, this is like at Illinois' peak of their powers, they would be Wisconsin. Illinois dreams of being Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, coming off of a bounce back, like they got hammered by Ohio State last week. But they're, that's what's going to happen when they're out talented, where Illinois is a less talented version of them. So to me, I think, plus Wisconsin's running back named Braylon. That's pretty cool. Braylon Allen.
Yeah, that is cool.
He's also like 18 years old. This is his second year in college, and he squats like 800 pounds. He's a freight
pretty
train.
Impressive.
So
pretty impressive.
I like Wisconsin minus 6.5. Michigan State at Maryland. We've talked about Michigan State a little bit. They just can't stop anybody. Maryland has a pretty good offense. Maryland's favored by 8. I would take that. Cincy at Tulsa. Tulsa also has a very good offense. They're averaging like 500 yards a game right now. Cincy's favored by 10. I would take Tulsa plus 10. Then another one, Georgia Tech at Pitt. Pitt's favored by 22. I would take Pitt just because Georgia Tech could be one of the worst teams we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Pitt's quarterback is very good. He can put 4 tutties on you very quickly, and that spread's covered in the first quarter. So that's what I think is kind of flying under the radar right now. But that's all that I've got.
Yeah. One thing that I was going to say about Tennessee's checker, they are already planning to stripe out Vandy Stadium for the last game of the year. Tennessee fans are.
They're obsessed with it.
I just think that's hilarious. That's like their thing. Now they do it great. I'm not going to hate on them. They do it great. Last week was awesome seeing the checker stadium, but it's just funny. They're going to go stripe out Vandy. I guess Vandy's like the ultimate little brother. I don't know. I'd like to see him come try to stripe out Brian Denny. That'd be pretty funny. But I don't think they have the facilities for that. So, this is going to be a great week just as a football fan, just to sit there and watch all the games. There's great games in every time slot. Starting at 12. Starting tonight, you have great games. But starting at that noon slot, it's going to be, action-packed and whatnot. And It'll be interesting to see some of these games, on the East Coast with the hurricane, like that the Maryland Michigan State game. I kind of teased the under, just because I think it was like 40 something, and I just didn't feel comfortable, like 49. But it's going to be raining all day up here tomorrow. The University of Maryland is probably 20 minutes away from me. So I can give you a live weather update, pregame if you want to DM me on Twitter or something. You want a live update on that game, what the weather's like, I can give it to you, just within 30 seconds. Please reach out. Feel free to reach out. But I'm really excited for tomorrow.
Let's burn through some NFL games real quick. You got those pulled up?
I got them pulled up right here. Starting first, Minnesota, New Orleans, in London. I think that the farther you can get Kirk Cousins away from primetime, the better. And this is about as far as you can get from primetime as you can get. On the East or on the West Coast, it's going to be 5:00 when this game kicks off. Give me Kirk Cousins by 1 million here.
Which, then again, it might be prime time because they'll be the only game on. It's a standalone game. This might be the 5th primetime game of the week.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
Also,
don't overthink it. I mean,
Andy Dalton's starting for the Saints. So,
yeah.
I mean, if anybody
I was looking at my fantasy team. I have Jameis Winston as one of my quarterbacks, and it said, I clicked on him and said he was questionable. I read the update, and it said his back, his head, and his ankle or something, or his hip and his ankle are all hurt. So I'm like, yeah, give me Kirk Cousins to nerd out anybody in London by 1 million. 5 a.m. Pacific time.
He's been playing with like 4 broken or like fractured vertebrae in his back. Like the first 2 weeks.
He's got too much dog in him, man. Don't need contacts.
He's now.
He's crazy, man. He's crazy.
It kills my Jameis Winston to lead the league in interceptions bet, but it is what it is.
Hey, that's why they call it gambling. Chicago Giants. I think you were saying something about the Giants earlier this week. What was that?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
The Giants might be my pick this weekend. Whatchamacallit? Why not just go Brown?
For a survival?
My survivor pick.
I mean,
when are you going to get Chicago to use the Giants again?
Yeah, fading Chicago is always cool and good for survivals. I think that Corner's backup quarterback has more passing attempts than Justin Fields right now. So, I mean, that's just something to take home and think about. Next, I mean, this is going to be a really good matchup. Buffalo at Baltimore at the bank. I mean, just a kind of a gauntlet for Buffalo, back-to-back weeks, having to go to Miami, then to Baltimore. It's going to be rainy and windy here. That's about 40 minutes from here. So, again, if you want a live weather update, please feel free to reach out. I think that I honestly don't even know what to think here, to be honest. I mean, I think it's just going to be a really good, hard-nosed football game.
Yeah, I agree. If I'd take anything, I would take Buffalo, but I'd probably just leave it all alone.
Yeah, I would just enjoy that one for the hard hits and just great quarterback play, really. Next is the Browns and Falcons at Atlanta. I don't think the Falcons are as bad as advertised. They have a lot of weapons on offense. They have the unicorn. They have Drake London. I'm not, they're playing hard for that new coach they have. I think his name's like Arthur Smith or something like that, but they're playing hard for him. I just don't know if it's going to be enough with the Cleveland Browns. I think the Browns are still a solid team with Amari and Jacoby Brissett. So I like Cleveland there.
Falcons have been covering. They've been covering this year, though.
It's -1. That's the only reason. I just don't think they get the win. I mean, they're essentially going to have to win.
Give me the Falcons.
Hey, I'm not with you, but I appreciate that because, like I used to be a Falcons fan and they still have a special place in my heart. But I did abandon them a long time ago. Next up, Jacksonville at Philly. I think this is kind of a trap game. All the hype with Philly, in the NFL, if you have too much hype, it's going to balance out one way or another. It's Roger Goodell's secret way to just kind of keep everybody watching. And the Jaguars have played good. Let's see. I think that line is at Philly minus 6.5. I like Jacksonville here. I don't think, Jacksonville's not. I know Jacksonville lost to the Commanders earlier in the year, but the Commanders are 10 times worse than that day, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are probably 10 times better than that day. So I like Jacksonville to cover.
Yeah, give me Jags money line. This is just where the whole world is like survivor pools. The whole world's going to be on the Eagles this week if they haven't already used them.
Yep.
This is where the Eagles fall, I think.
Yep, 100%. I'm going to kind of skip a couple.
That's fine.
We'll talk about the Commanders at Dallas.
You skip games to get to this game?
Yeah, pretty big game for the boys. I was wearing my Commanders shirt earlier. Really good quarterback play here. Cooper Rush versus Carson Wentz. Is Cooper Rush redheaded? I can't remember.
If he's not, he's a honorary redhead.
Okay, so we got the Ginger Bowl going on in Dallas at the Jerry Dome. I don't think Jerry will be there. I think he's going to be at the Arkansas game the day before, and then he'll probably be hungover or something for this game. So you might see him in his hotel room up there somewhere, but he won't be very locked in. I think, let's see, Commanders +3. Give me the Commanders. They're going to get up. They're going to get up for this game, kind of have a bounce back.
Cooper Rush is better than that.
Take whatever. If there's any kind of prop you can take on Carson Wentz getting sacked, take the over. Always.
Carson Wentz is like 4th right now in the NFL in yards too, by the way.
Yeah, he's trying his best. The O-line, I don't know if he probably went to Crumble or like Insomnia Cookie and got everybody like oatmeal raisins or something. They're just still mad at him. I don't know what the deal is. He's trying his best. People are like, dude, he's terrible. And I'm telling them he's not that bad. He's good. We have weapons on the outside. We have a good D line, but the offensive line, couldn't block. I don't even know. Little Giants. They'd be just running right through there. So I just don't know. But
yeah, Carson Wentz.
Now that I think about it,
his biggest problem is when he messes up, it's very memeable. Like he does stuff that's his bad plays are the worst plays of the year. But other than that, he's pretty good. Like he was a pretty good quarterback all year last year. And then most people remember when he tried to break the sack and he did like the shovel pass that. He basically led the defensive back right into the end zone for a pick six. And that's what everybody remembers. But, he was pretty good all year other than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I still see promise. Maybe not this year. I think this year's a wash. But if we can get some O-linemen in there that actually care, I think they're fine. And Chase Young will come back too. So I think they're fine. But, it's not like we're going to keep up with Dallas or Philly. Or, the Giants for that matter. But anyways, moving on. One that's kind of weird here, Arizona at Carolina. It's kind of a pick 'em. Carolina's favored -1. Over-under is 43. I think the winds are still going to be kind of kicking up in that Carolina area. But I think that Kyler Murray's short enough to kind of run underneath and throw underneath that wind. So, it's kind of a weird spot, which I guess Baker Mayfield's not too much taller than him. So it may be a kind of an even matchup there.
I don't know. I think Kyler Murray's like 5'4". I think Baker's at least 5'11".
I don't know. I think you're giving him too much there.
Really? You think he's less than that?
I think I'm a fat Baker Mayfield. He's got to be 5'8".
Did you see Dan Orlovsky breaking down the Panthers giving away their plays? To where if McCaffrey lines up behind Baker, it's a run play. If he lines up beside him, it's a pass play every time. That can't happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's something that
that's getting
high school
spotted.
Game.
Dudes have helmets. I mean, they have mics in their helmets. They have mics in their helmets, and you have eyes in the sky with the walkie-talkie to that mic. He's like, hey, Christian McCaffrey is lined up 2 steps behind. It's RPO.
Yeah, it's a pass or it's a run.
You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I mean, how can they be that bad? Mark Rule's got to be out of there. But, hey, I don't know. I don't even know where to pick this game. I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, I got to go Arizona. They have the scouting report. We have the scouting report. So if we have the scouting report, what do you think they have?
Surely they're
professionals.
Surely they fixed it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Another good one, Denver at Vegas. Wash Russ. I think Vegas gets the win here. I don't see Vegas going 0-3. And I think it's like Denver's time. Like I keep expecting them to click and they just don't. So I think Derek Carr gets the job done here.
I think they're already 0-3, aren't they? I mean, you don't think they'll go 0-4?
Correct.
Because I'm with you. I think Vegas wins this game. Russ stinks.
In 2 ways. He does stink. Let Russ cook, and it's just, it's like that. You know what he would cook? He would cook that Stouffer's lasagna, like that's frozen, and like the outside layer, like you eat like an inch from the outside, it's all too hot to even put it in your mouth. But the middle is still frozen. That's Russ cooking. Just awful, just atrocious. I have a question for you, and I truly don't know, so it's not. I would call it a trivia question. Who's playing quarterback this weekend for the New England Patriots?
I think it's Brian Hoyer. I know Mac Jones said earlier this week that he would be playing, but I feel like that's just kind of always said. You never know what New England's going to do. They did this with Tom Brady, where they would just put him on the IR like just randomly throughout the week, and you wouldn't know if he was
just to play mind games. And I couldn't imagine showing my face after Mac Jones might have been in pain, okay? But I couldn't imagine showing my face to millions of people the week after and like come on the field after acting like that. There's no way.
Cole,
no way you're going to catch me crying.
If I acted like that, you would never catch me walking again in public. I would.
No shot.
That would be it for me.
I would get my leg amputated because I cried like that. They're like, Cole, your leg is fine. Yeah. Look, I made the mistake, man. I cried. Everybody saw me. And I have to get this amputated so it's justified. I mean,
it was bad.
It's just how it is.
It was embarrassing.
This is going to be my survival pick. I haven't used Green Bay yet. I think it's a good time to lock it up. I see on the Action app some of the people I follow are taking New England to cover here. I think there's no way. Aaron Rodgers is like a shark in water right here. I mean, he's licking his lips to just kind of put one on Bill Belichick because who's not? So that's what I think. Another good one, Kansas City at Tampa. I think Tampa's still pretty beat up. I like Kansas City here. Coming after, the tornado just kind of went through there. So, I mean, I wouldn't imagine there'd be a ton of fans there. But yeah, I'd like the Kansas City Chiefs to kind of come in there and cause mayhem.
Yeah. Tampa just still don't have an offense yet.
Yeah. And clock's ticking. Like at some point it's going to be unrecoverable, which luckily the other 3 teams in their division are just terrible.
Yeah.
But, that's going to be the only thing that saves them. Monday night, Rams, San Francisco. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good matchup. I think, let's see. San Francisco's favored 1.5. first impressions, I want to take the Rams. You tell me what you think. I think Vegas is telling us to take San Francisco, but you tell me what you think.
Yeah, I think the line's moved down, though. I think it started at like 3.5. So who knows? It's a weird game. Like, I don't really know what's wrong with Stafford, if he's hurt or what's going on with him, because he doesn't look normal. How much better does Jimmy G make the 49ers? I think I would wait until game time and see what the line was. If it's moved towards the Rams, I think I would take them. If it stays where it is or moves towards the 49ers, I would take them.
I tell you this, Vegas is done playing around with primetime games going under. They have set the Kansas City Tampa game at under 45.5. I mean, Kansas City, that's probably the first time they've had anything under 46. And the Rams and 49ers is over under 42.5. I mean, I'm still taking the under in both of those just because I'm trusting the science here. But I mean, they're done. I guess they're done playing around. I think next week they'll probably put all primetime games, they're just going to say over under 30, take it or leave it. Just, or probably just not have it available. Because, I mean, they're getting hammered on unders right now.
Eventually it'll flip, but I don't know if that'll happen this early. Eventually the offense will start clicking a little better and overs will start hitting more. But I don't see Tampa's offense hitting over right now.
No, I kind of like the under in the 45, but that 42 is real sussy. So yeah, that's all I got. That's all the spread, or that's all the good games for the NFL. So that's all I got. Oh, I do have one more thing. Braves are hosting the Mets, pretty much for the division. So let's go Braves.
And Judge, congrats on 61.
Congrats on 61, Judge. Big shout out. Wish you could have done it in America, but it's fine. Maybe you get 62 on the home soil.
It made up for it where Vladdy said, "Not in our house," and then we won the AL East, and then Judge hit 61 in his house. So
kind of like show me who's your daddy. I like that. I like that a lot.
But that's all I got.
Cool. Well, good luck, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's get after it, man. Let's have a good weekend.
Love you guys.